Exercise 4-1 Part 2 takes the data that we've already looked at and it asks us to create a multi-step income statement. And a multi-step income statement simply says we want to get to sales revenue minus cost of goods sold. So we want to calculate a gross profit before we're worrying about calculating operating income and then other income. So again, multi-step income statement. Let's look at operations first. And then let's look at everything else that happened in the business. We're going to still come down to a net income and an earnings per share. So let's go ahead and jump in. From a formatting standpoint, I already showed you that you can go ahead and start by double-clicking on the column header to get your cells to be as wide as what you would need them to be. I'm going to go ahead and format my titles, and again I'm going to format them over the statement that I'm preparing, which is 3 columns wide. For me, I'm going to highlight my titles, right click on Format Cells. I'm going to select an alignment, and I'm looking for a horizontal alignment across the selection that I've got highlighted. I'm going to hit OK and watch what happens. The information centers across the area. There's another way to do this. As a quick hint, you can actually go into Format Cells, and let's say we said, let's go back to General. Okay, all of our data is left aligned in our cell. You can highlight the cells, takes a little longer to do it this way, that you want, and you can say I want to merge the data in these cells and then I want to center it. So if you go Format, again, you're on Alignment. You can click Merge Cells, and the lines for columns J and K have gone away. Now you can use just your formatting to center this selection. This was my center formatting, and it tells me if I hover that I'm centering the text. The thing to be careful with if you do that is when you work in multiple columns, now you've got something that's merged together. It makes the data a little bit less manageable. I'm going to go ahead and undo, get my columns back, and I'm going to center using my horizontal center. For me, it's just the better way to go. Again, highlight it, right click on Format Cells, go to my Alignment tab, and center across selection. Hit OK and my data lines up. Okay, sales revenue and all the other data on here, we already know where to get it from, so I'm going to go quickly. We have sales revenue that we're going to link. We have cost of goods sold. I can't copy and paste now because my data is in different areas. I know that gross profit is equal to sales minus cost of goods sold. If I didn't know that, then I need to go back and read a prior chapter. I have selling expense, and I have general and administrative expense, and I'm going to eventually calculate both a total operating expense and an operating income. I'll come back to that. I know that I have sales revenue, I have a gain, I have an interest expense. And while I'm in here, I might as well go ahead and populate my interest tax expense. What you can see is I lined up subschedule information separately from my final calculations that go on my multi-step income statement. And what I'm left with is some math that I need to do. I'm going to fix some formatting a little bit. I'm going to start by doing my first set of math. I already did it. My sales revenue minus my gross cost of goods sold gets me to gross profit. I should show that I did some math by putting a top border or a line above. That's what you do on a piece of paper, is you draw a line above and then you would go ahead and do your math. I have to calculate total operating expenses next, so I'm going to use the @sum function. And what am I summing? I'm going to start that again and get that out of the way so you can see it. @sum, open my parentheses. I'm going to sum these two numbers, close my parentheses, and I have now calculated my total operating expenses. My gross profit minus my total operating expenses equals my operating income. So income from operations, from running my business, are equal to $345,000. And again, how did I get that? I have sales minus cost of goods sold. That gets gross profit. Gross profit minus my operating expenses gives me my operating income. All right, in my other income and expense category, what it's telling me is my income should be outside of parentheses, but see how expense is in parentheses? That's telling you how you should display your numbers. So what do we have? We have interest revenue, we have gain, and then we have interest expense. This number should be in parentheses, and how are we going to do it? You can manually type it if you want, but that's not how I would do it. I plussed my data from my trial balance. Now I'm going to go ahead and right-click. I'm going to format my cell, and I'm going to look at a numbering format. I'm going to go ahead and say I just want a general number, but I do want to use this parentheses. So again, I can use a minus sign, I can put it in red, or I can use a parentheses. And I'm going to go parentheses black. You could do parentheses red. I want the comma separator, and I want 0 decimal places. Hit OK. And I did something wrong, so try that again. Format cell. Oh, what I did wrong is simple. I need to put a minus sign. So instead of plus interest expense, I'm going to minus it, and that's going to put the number for me in parentheses. So what is that saying? That's saying when I do this math to get to total other income, I'm going to add my income numbers together, and I'm going to subtract my expense number. I could have done that by hitting plus, plus, minus with my cells, but now since I've already got this one listed with a minus, I can use the at sum function again. So at sum, highlight my cells, hit enter, and if I look at that, I have total other income net of 40,000, and that makes sense because 30,000 plus 50,000 is 80,000 minus 40,000 is 40,000. If you have questions on that, ask them in class or review the video one more time. So what do I have going on right now? I have done a calculation to get my other operating income. Now I need to come through and figure out what my income before tax is, and I can see that I put the cell reference for income tax in the wrong place. So I can fix that. Just delete it out of here and go down one cell and populate my income tax expense. All right. So what I have now, I have gross profit minus my operating expenses is again my operating income. My other income, anything that doesn't come from operations, so interest, gains, interest again, don't come from operations, come up with an other income of 40,000. It could have been a negative number, meaning my other expenses were higher than my other income, but in this case, it's showing income overall. It's not saying add those two together and figure out what your income before taxes are. So I'm going to add my operating income of 345,000 to my other income of 40,000, and my income before taxes is equal to $385,000. I know my income tax expense is 130,000 because it tells me in my given data, and my net income is now going to be income before taxes minus my taxes of 255,000. I know that that number is right because I already calculated it in my single step income statement. So I knew I was shooting for 255,000. Let's go ahead and put some dollar signs where we need to and watch the decimals expand. We're going to get rid of them. Again, at the beginning of columns of numbers is where I'm putting my dollar signs. And I'm going to finish off with a dollar sign as well. All right, earnings per share. Calculation of that we've gone over one time before. Again, it's going to be my net income divided by my common stock shares outstanding. And I get a earnings per share of $2.55. I'm going to go ahead and put my bottom border and my dollar sign in, and this time I'm leaving the decimal places. We didn't go through as much formatting on this video. We did it in the last one. If you have any questions, send me an email or bring them to class.